In today's video, I want to look at the song Lost in the Supermarket by The Clash. I thought it was about time I looked at another Clash song. And this is a fantastic song. It's perhaps not one of the better known Clash tracks. I think obviously if you're a Clash fan, you will know this one. It's taken from the London Calling album. But if you're more of a casual listener, then perhaps you won't have heard this one before. But I do urge you to check it out. It's a fantastic song. And in terms of the guitar parts, we've got some lovely rhythm work, which seems to be in an open tuning. We've got great use of harmonics. And then from Mick Jones, we've got some lovely lead guitar stuff. It's very melodic. And we've even got a little guitar solo in there as well. So I'm going to be talking about all of that stuff. Let me begin by playing a bit of the track for you. And I was going to do this unaccompanied, but I think this particular track needs some kind of context from bass and drums. So I've just put together a quick bass and drums backing track. I'm going to play along to that and play a bit of the track, and then I'll break it all down for you. As I said, this song is taken from the mighty London Calling album, and it's on side 2, kind of midway through side 2. And it turns out it's based on a real supermarket. It's a supermarket on the King's Road in Chelsea in London, near where Joe Strummer used to live. And of course I had to get on Google Maps and Google Street View, and brilliantly there's still a supermarket there. It looks like the building might have changed since the 70s, but there's now a co-op there, and I feel like I should go there on some kind of rock and roll pilgrimage. And it feels like there should maybe be a statue of Joe Strummer on the roof of the supermarket or something. Maybe I should start a petition for that. That would be amazing. So according to my research, this song was written by Joe Strummer, despite the fact that it's got a Mick Jones lead vocal. And I couldn't actually find that much information online about this song. There are certainly no live recordings and no live footage that I could see. So I'm really just going on what I'm hearing on the record. And it certainly appears to me that the rhythm parts are in an open tuning, in open E tuning. I'm going to assume that all of those are played by Joe Strummer, and again I'm going to assume that the lead guitar parts are played by Mick Jones. It certainly sounds like it to me. So let's get into all of that stuff. I'm going to start with the rhythm guitar parts and the main riff. Now once you've got the tuning in place, this riff is actually quite easy to play. And as I said, I believe this is done in open E tuning. I think you can just about play the main riff in standard tuning, though it's a little bit awkward and it's difficult to get it smooth. I think with the harmonics parts, which we're going to get onto in a moment, there's no way you can really do that in anything other than open E tuning. So that's how I'm doing it, though I realise it's quite unusual for a Clash tune to be in open E tuning. So let me just quickly go over the tuning and give you the notes. So what we're doing with open E is we basically want all of the strings of the guitar to sound like an open E chord would sound. So in practice that means we're going to tune the 5th string up from an A to a B. We're going to tune the 4th string up from a D to an E, and the 3rd string is going to go up from a G to a G sharp. So that's going to give you all of these notes. We've got an E, That's the same from standard tuning. Then we've got the B, then E, then G sharp, and the top two strings are the same as standard tuning, so it's a B and an E. So that should give you a nice open E chord. And one of the interesting things about this riff is it's played using an E chord shape that we're just moving around. But of course, in the open tuning, an E chord shape no longer sounds like an E chord. And in fact, this little 3 chord shape is now sounding as a minor triad. That shape there is giving you an F sharp minor triad kind of a sound. So you've got an F sharp minor and a G sharp minor sound, and then the open strings are going to give you the major sound. So the riff itself, it goes like this. So all played with that E chord shape. I'm starting off with this shape up at the 3rd fret and the 4th fret. So I'm pressing down 4th fret on the 5th and the 4th strings, and the 3rd fret on the 3rd string. And you've got the other strings ringing open, kind of droning throughout this riff. And I think you're really focusing your pick attack on strings 3, 4 and 5, but you can hear some of those open strings coming through there as well. So we're starting like this. So we've got our initial shape, and we're sliding that down 2 frets, and then we've got some open strings, and we're just going between the open strings and this E chord shape, if you like, down where it normally would be. And then we repeat that with a slight difference, ending the phrase on this shape, then another time. It's the same as the first time round, and then finally ending on this shape. So all together. And if you listen to the recording, it should be easy enough to pick up the rhythm to that. One thing to watch out for is we're coming in on beat 2 with the riff. So it's 2, 3, 4, 1. And I'm choosing to play this with a nice relaxed down-up strum with my strumming hand, and that's really just going with the beat. That's the main riff, ending on an upbeat there with an up strum, and that also serves as the chorus riff to the song. It's repeated quite a few times during the course of the track. And a further interesting thing about this riff is it really relies on the bass to outline the harmony. Just the guitar part on its own doesn't really make that much sense, but as soon as you've got the bass in there, then suddenly you can hear the chords going by, and the bass is playing something like this, or at least these are the root notes that the bass is playing. We're going from an E, which is giving you an E major sound, B, to a C sharp minor, and then A, back to E again. So take a listen to that and hear how the bass really defines the overall harmony of the tune. And the verse, I think, is equally interesting. Again, the bass is really defining the harmony, and the guitar is playing this part just using harmonics. It sounds something like this to me. It's a little bit hard to hear exactly what's going on, but this is the way that I've chosen to do it. So all of this played with natural harmonics. I'm starting off at the 12th fret, then 7 to 5, and then staying on 5, 5, 7, 12. And then when the bass goes to C sharp, for that C sharp minor sound, I think the rhythm guitar is doing this. It's kind of playing a harmonic at the 3rd fret, or it's really just above the 3rd fret. Kind of, I think it's 3.2 or something, mathematically speaking. It's quite hard to pull out this harmonic, so just rest your finger really lightly on the strings at that point. So just playing that harmonic, and then 7 to 5, and then going between 5 and 7, and then back up to the 12th fret. Then that goes round again. What seems to happen is when it goes round again, the rhythm guitar just lays out for 2 or 3 bars and then comes in on bar number 4 of the verse repeat with this, and then carries on as before. So it's a super cool part, and as I said, it really makes the most sense once you've got the bass in there. So play along to the record, play along to my backing track if you like, and you'll be able to hear how those harmonics work with the bass line. And that's really it for the rhythm guitar parts. You're just repeating those 2 basic parts throughout the track. There may be some subtle variations, but essentially that's all that's going on. Okay, quick guitar change, and let's talk about these lead guitar parts. And I'm doing this in standard tuning, and that's my feeling about how it's done. But as I say, there's no live footage as far as I know, so I can't be 100% sure, but I'm 99% sure that this is done in standard tuning. And unless Mick Jones wants to come along and say, oh, mate, you've got no idea what you're talking about, in which case that would be fair enough. But I'm doing this in standard tuning today. And the song kicks off with that rhythm guitar part going round once, and then the lead guitar comes in with just some nice simple melodic stuff. So this kind of thing, and I'm thinking E major here. If you like, you could think about your E major scale or your E major pentatonic scale up in the 9th position. So this is kind of the G shape if you know your caged system, and you've got your E major pentatonic, you've got your E major scale there. Most of these notes are taken from this scale. So starting off very simply, just like this. So just a B and an E. Doing that twice. Then got a hammer on from 9 to 11 on the D. And then this E. And then an A to an E. And then it's just another E major pentatonic kind of a lick. So that same hammer on, ending on that high B note there on the upbeat, so on the push. So that's the introduction. Then we've got a chorus, and really what Mick Jones is doing is just playing the chorus melody, kind of reinforcing the vocal melody. So very simple this. There are a few places you could play this. You could play this all on the B string. I'm choosing to play it here, so 9 and 7 on the B and 9 on the G. Now you can sometimes just hear some slides in there as well. And then at the end of the chorus we've got that same lick we had in the introduction. So if I put all of that together. Then for the verses, I'm playing quite a funky kind of single note part, and this is quite hard to hear on the recording, so I'm trying to pick it out as best I can, but I'm probably doing some of this my own way. And the basic idea is just picking out some single notes. Again, these notes are all taken from the E major scale or the E major pentatonic scale. So just working out of this little box of notes here. So 9 and 11 on the D, 9 and 11 on the G. Coming down to 7 on the D at that point, and then back up again. So something along those lines. Let me just play that with the phaser effect turned on. I'll try and play the exact part that I played in the little demo at the start of this video. So 2, 3, 4. So something like that. I'm sure that's not exactly what's played on the record, but it is very, very hard to hear it. But something along those lines is going to work really well. It sounds great with the bass and with the other guitar playing the harmonics. Let's move on to the solo, and I think this is a lovely little solo. It's a simple 8-bar solo, but nice and memorable, nice and melodic. All played again in the 9th position using notes from the E major pentatonic, and I think there's 1 or 2 notes from the E major scale as well. And the first phrase goes like this. So hammer on from 9 to 11 on the D, a root note, and then a bend at the 11th fret. Again, bend and release, coming back to the root, and then B to E. And we continue. So it's that same bend, and releasing the bend, and then we've got this C sharp note, and then this. Really nice little phrase. So just some quick hammer-ons, 9 to 11, and then climbing up on the B string, bending a B to a C sharp, and we're ending with what is really a kind of country lick, I think is. So bending at 12 on the B, pulling off to 9, and then we're over on to the G, and ending with this kind of pedal steel style bend, kind of country bend. So bending F sharp to G sharp on the 3rd string, whilst holding down the 12th fret on the B string. So really bending the 2nd up to the 3rd of the E major chord. And just a little technical point there. When I'm doing that style of bend, I quite like to bend with my 2nd finger, have my pinky on the 12th fret note, and then bend with the 2nd finger. I just seem to have more control that way. You could bend with the 3rd finger, but give it a try with your 2nd finger. It's a little bit more control of the tuning over that bend, I think. Let me put all of that together slowly with the effects on. Let's talk gear. No idea what was used on the original recording, so I've just selected stuff that I think sounds good, that I think sounds fairly close to the record. So for the rhythm parts, I'm using my Telecaster. It's a 52 reissue Telecaster. The amp today is my Fender Deluxe. And on the recording, you can definitely hear some kind of modulation effect on both the lead and the rhythm guitars. And on the rhythm guitar, it sounds to me more like a chorus kind of an effect. So I'm using my Boss CE2 chorus. This is in fact the Wazercraft version, and I'm using it in CE1 vibrato mode. I sort of went through the different modes on this pedal. This is the one that sounded closest to the recording to my ears, and that sounds like this. And for the lead guitar parts, I'm using my Trent Model 1. Actually just recently installed some new pickups in this guitar, and Elliot Trent sent me these pickups. They're prototype pickups which he's hand wound himself, and they're replacements for the bare knuckles which were originally in here. And the bare knuckles sounded great, there's nothing wrong with those at all, but if anything these new pickups sound slightly better, slightly warmer, and just a slightly nicer top end to my ears, but it's quite subtle. And this guitar going into the same amp, into the Fender Deluxe, again there's some kind of modulation effect. It sounds like a different effect on the lead guitar, some kind of phaser. So I got out a couple of phaser options when I was setting up to make this video. I've got the Phase 90, and then I've got the old Line 6 modulation modeler. The Phase 90 sounded great, but didn't quite sound like the recording. What I thought sounded closest was the dual phaser model in the modulation modeler pedal. That's based on one of the Mutron, the Mutron biphase effect. It could have well have been that they used in the studio for this recording. I don't actually know, but this to me sounds quite close. So let's have the sound then. And this is the clean guitar sound straight into the amp. And with the phaser switched in, and for the solo, in addition to the phaser, I also stepped on an overdrive pedal, and that today is the Proco Rat, which sounds like this. There we go. Hope you enjoyed this video. Tabs, as usual, are going to be up on my Patreon page. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you next time.